It's official. UFC 295 has a co-main event. It's going to be Jiri Prochazka and Alex Pereira, but it's for the vacant light heavyweight title, which is a bit confusing, and I'll explain why that is in a second here, and also give you my breakdown of the fight and my early pick. But Jamahal Hill is the current champion. Jamahal Hill obviously got injured in July. We have the article here from ESPN. It says Jamahal Hill ruptures his Achilles, will relinquish the UFC title, and then they have the quote here: "If I had my choice, I would like to give up the belt. No, I wouldn't. You got to be consistent. I understand it's all a business. The show must go on, but I'm not exempt from that." So here's the weird thing is that I think we all just assumed that Jamahal had vacated his title. And then you remember there was that whole thing with Ariel and Jamahal Hill. And I mentioned in the video how that, you know, Jamahal had vacated his title. And a lot of people pointed out that no, he actually didn't. And Jamahal Hill is still, I mean, at the time of recording this, the light heavyweight champion. I have yet to hear Jamahal Hill say that he has given up his title here. Obviously, the UFC has kind of forced his hand by calling this a vacant light heavyweight championship as opposed to an interim title. And it makes absolute sense that Hill would relinquish his title because Jiri did the same thing when he was injured. So that kind of makes sense. But I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about that the fact that Jamahal Hill hasn't actually come out and said, hey, I am officially giving up my title. So the UFC kind of strong-arming here a little bit. Again, I don't blame them, but it's just one thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about, that technically Hill is still the champion even at the time of recording this. But anyways, just wanted to mention that off the top. But yeah, this was always the fight to make. Pereira getting the win over Jan Blachowicz. Jiri Prochazka is ready to go. He's healthy. I do worry a little bit. Did they rush him back? I mean, this fight's getting announced now. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. I would love to hear why this is being the co-main event for 295. I think people assumed it would be December. Remember, Jiri vacated the title in December of last year with the idea that he wouldn't be able to defend within a year. Well, it's not even a year since the injuries happened. So that's another kind of weird thing. Did they kind of say, hey, we need someone for UFC 295 in case something happens to Stipe and Jones? Is that where we're putting this fight on this card? I don't know, but curious to hear if we're ever going to get that answer at any point. But let's do a quick tale of the tape. This is one of the best light heavyweight fights of all time. I cannot wait for this one. You can see right now, Jiri Prochazka, Alex Pereira, 29-3-1, 8-2. So, but I mean, obviously Pereira, kickboxing champion, has a ton of kickboxing fights. 31 years old for Jiri, 36 for Pereira, 6'3" to 6'4". They both have an 80-inch reach. Jiri has not fought since he won the title against Glover Teixeira, which was in June of 2022. So it's been a while since he's been out. He was supposed to fight Glover in December, gets the shoulder injury, relinquishes the title. And again, at the time, we're thinking, okay, there's no way he's going to fight in 2023. And now he is. So again, not sure what's happening behind the scenes. Would love to, hopefully I'll get an interview with Jiri and kind of uncover that a little bit. So yeah, he has not fought since June of that. Then has yet to lose in the UFC. His last loss was way back in December of 2015. He's been on a roll, extremely tough to finish. One of the most unique guys in MMA, period. He's got a really unique style, tough to finish, and just an exciting fighter. So Jiri Prochazka always brings the action here. Alex Pereira, of course, had a successful move up to the light heavyweight division, getting a split decision win over Jan Blachowicz. Most people did feel like he won. I know it was split. I know Jan Blachowicz himself was kind of like, yeah, it was a close fight. Did speak to Jan the other day, but if you look at it here in terms of the scorecards on that fight, yeah, majority did feel like Alex Pereira won, and I thought he won the fight too. Really good performance there, taking out the former light heavyweight champion in Jan Blachowicz. Had the loss to Israel Adesanya. That was a close fight too. If you remember, prior to the knockout, Pereira was looking pretty good, and then he himself gets knocked out. Wonder if the weight cut contributed to that a little bit, but he's got some, I mean, all of his wins have looked pretty good, right? Mikulina's finishing him, although Mikulina's not in the UFC. Bruno Silva's still sticking around. That was a good win. He's knocked out Sean Strickland, who's now the middleweight champion. So a lot of his success, obviously, at middleweight, not at light heavyweight. It'll be interesting. I think the big question in this fight, with it being 5 rounds, is can Pereira knock out Jiri Prochazka? Nobody's been able to do it in the UFC. Even a guy like Glover Teixeira, his teammate. That's the other thing we didn't even talk about. This is a bit of a revenge fight, right? Glover Teixeira having an extremely close fight with Jiri Prochazka. Now his pupil, Alex Pereira, gets the opportunity to fight for the title. This is just an amazing fight. And I think this was a great co-main event for the John Jones and Stipe Miocic card, because like I told you guys, I think if there's an injury in the main event with that heavyweight title fight, knock on wood, I don't think either of them are going to fight Sergey Pavlovich. I'm calling that now. I mean, let's hope we don't get to that point, but this is a great replacement fight if for some reason the main event doesn't go through at UFC 295. So I think the UFC did a good job here. In terms of an early pick, I got to go Jiri Prochazka, and it's just for the simple fact that I don't know if Pereira's going to be able to knock him out. And I think Jiri has a lot more tools to use in his tool belt, not to mention the striking, the unorthodox style of Jiri is probably something that Pereira hasn't really seen. I know he's fought all types of strikers, but Jiri is really a unique guy, and and just like I said, a tough guy to take out. The only concern here obviously is the layoff, the injury. How's he going to look when he gets back? We're going to have to find out all those answers here in terms of what's coming up. And this fight's coming up pretty quickly here. We're almost at the end of September. We got like a week or two left, and then it's basically like a month and a bit away here. So this is going to be a really, really exciting fight in the light heavyweight division, and really excited to see what happens. And again, like I mentioned off the top, what's happening with Jamahal Hill? Is he going to make a statement? Is he going to say, I've talked to the UFC and I've taken the title away? I wonder if the UFC just went ahead and said, well, guess what, Jamal, you've lost the title. We're taking it away from you. Because again, Jamal has not officially come out and said this, to my knowledge anyways. If he has, I'd like to hear it, but I have yet to hear anything on his channel. At the time of recording this, I even searched Twitter this morning. I have not seen anything about Jamal giving up the title. You think the UFC would have talked to Jamal before announcing this fight and saying, hey, you kind of hinted that you were going to vacate the title. Can you do it? So not really sure what's going on there, but yeah, sorry. And just to get back to my pick here, I'm going to go Jiri Prochazka. Does he finish Alex Pereira? Maybe, but then Pereira's not cutting as much weight. This might go the distance, actually. Yeah, this might end up being like Yuri and Glover, actually, minus the late finish there from Yuri. Like I could see this going all 5 rounds. Maybe Yuri gets him to the ground and gets a submission. That's another thing I'll be looking at. Maybe that submission prop, because I could see a case where maybe he knocks Pereira down and works that ground game when they're tired, because again, it's 5 rounds. But I'll go Yuri decision for now. Definitely going to be doing an early look preview for this fight, and yeah, interested to see how this one goes with the fact that, like I said, Yuri's been out for a while. Pereira, good showing at 205. Again, that was a good win. I know he didn't finish Jan Blachowicz, but like to get a win over him is extremely impressive, and you can't really look past that at all. I thought that was very impressive with Pereira looking good in that weight class, and this is pretty much it for Pereira as well. I think people forget he's 36, right? So it's kind of make or break for him in terms of his UFC career, and consider this as well, and I've already seen some chatter about this. If Pereira goes up there and wins the title here, is his legacy better than Izzy's? It might be, because he would have won 2 titles. Izzy failed at that. Izzy fought Jan Blachowicz and lost, right? So a lot of interesting storylines here, and this really is a good boost to the UFC 295 card, just as we're ending here. Oh yeah, by the way, I see majority of people have Pereira winning. That's interesting. Anyways, let's look at the card itself and just kind of talk about the strength of it, because they always go all stops for the New York card. So now you've got Jones and Miocic, you got Prochazka and Pereira. Andrade and Dern is good in terms of name value, but I think Dern's going to win that. Andrade has been, kind of on a bit of a decline here. They're going to have to add a couple more fights, because this is, the undercard here is very good, but, a couple fun fights, but they're going to have to add at least a couple more fights to this card, because this is a New York card, right? It's one of their premier cards of the year, and you figure they're going to have to boost things up a little bit. But like I said, this is a great co-main event, and this is something I talked about for weeks. Like I said, just let's hope nothing happens with the main event, but, this is a great replacement for the main event. Not two like huge names stateside, so to speak. Internationally, Yuri and Pereira are pretty big names, but this is a great fight, and like I said, one of the best light heavyweight fights we're probably going to see in UFC history, in my opinion, just in terms of the intrigue there. So really excited for that. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Couple things. First off, what do you think about this whole Jamahal Hill thing? Like I said, to my knowledge, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. I've yet to hear Jamal say that he has vacated the title. So what do you think about that? It seems like the UFC just went ahead and said, we're doing the vacant title fight. You don't have the title anymore. Number 2, who's your pick in this fight? Who do you think wins? I want to get a prediction. I hate people who say, oh, I'm picking this guy, and then they want to come back and say, I picked them. Well, how do you think they win? Would love to hear from you guys. And I will, like I said, be doing a in-depth preview on this fight here, probably pretty soon, because the fight's going to be right around the corner. So I'm James Lynch. Follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, at Lynch on Sports. I'm James Lynch. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.